Hello and welcome to Cycles of Time, your weekly guide to what's happening on Earth as we make our revolutionary journey around the sun. For time immemorial, our human ancestors have created myths and meanings to help us adapt and thrive as seasons change. Join me each week to explore the intersections of these ancient cycles, from the indigenous medicine wheel to the pagan wheel of the year, the Babylonian and Greek zodiac to the I Ching, the ancient Chinese book of changes. I'm your host, Alison Dale, and this is the Cycles of Time podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to Cycles of Time. I hope you're all doing well and were able to soak up some juicy barefoot nature time during the gate of receptivity last week. We just entered the energy of earthly yin for the next 6 months in the I Ching Wheel of the Year, with the cross-quarter day of Beltane moving us from the active energy of mid-fall to mid-spring. That was the time of Yang, where the bottom line of all of the hexagrams on the wheel was a Yang line. And we're moving into the more receptive energy of the warmer months in the Northern Hemisphere. So from Beltane all the way through Samhain, through Halloween, and late October, we will be in this more baseline receptive energy of growth and harvest. So I'm recording this on Sunday the 11th, and so I just wanted to say happy Mother's Day to all the mamas out there and all the mother figures out there in the world. I love that Mother's Day falls in Taurus season around the gate of the receptive and also the gate of breakthrough that we're currently in, because the base energy of the wheel is turning from yang to yin, and we're in this transitional moment in Taurus season. And I do feel like the role of the mother really requires both yin and yang energies in a very real way. I feel like motherhood is very aligned with this week's full moon in Scorpio as well, which is happening Monday the 12th, and it's known as the full flower moon. It's going to be a transmutative and deep full moon, and becoming a mother in my life has been by far the most transformative experience ever. So it really aligns nicely with the Scorpio full moon being right after the day after Mother's Day. And yeah, motherhood is receptive, but also requires being fierce and digging deep within your own inner power, just like the scorpion of Scorpio. So I just have scorpions on the mind because I saw a few scorpions here in Costa Rica where I am right now. And all my talk last week about harmony and integration with nature and feeling receptive to the everything going on around me was definitely real and true. But after spending the past few days kind of glamping on the beach in Costa Rica, we've had to share space and fend off a good number of lizards and bugs and aggressive birds and even a couple scorpions. So if you're reading this or listening to this on Astrosomatic's Substack, I'll post a picture of a scorpion at night that was highlighted by a friend here with a UV light, so they glow this like bright green color, and my daughter thought it was very cool because she's a Scorpio to see this power animal, but never fun. I mean, I've never had any bad experiences with scorpions, but they look creepy. So check that picture out, and you can subscribe at astrosomatics.substack.com to get this in your inbox every Monday. So there's always a few pictures and related images to what I'm talking about here on the podcast as well. I only have a few days left here with my family on our Central America journey. And as I record this, I'm watching hummingbirds sip the sweet nectar of pink flowers right below where the moon rose last night and where the Scorpio full moon will rise tonight. And so it feels very fitting that this is called the full flower moon, which is really just because it's a time of blossoming in the Northern Hemisphere in North America. And of course, there are many names for all of the different moons depending on region and tribe. but the full flower moon has kind of risen as the Farmer's Almanac description of this moon, and it's right now I'm surrounded by flowers, so it feels perfect, and a lovely living Mother's Day bouquet with hummingbirds and butterflies and all of that beautiful Taurian stuff. So, yeah, we've been exploring a wide variety of towns and schools and just being receptive to all of the different ways there are to live life out in the world. It's quite a different way to travel when you're thinking about possibilities of like, how would this work with all of the different factors of work and school and life and family. And so it's been a really amazing thought experience. And I really appreciated the gate of the receptive last week, just allowing a little more spaciousness in, and like I said, a few less checklists than usual, and I really took that to heart. So I hope you did as well and had the opportunity to really just soak in what is around you. So Monday's full moon, today's full moon, if you're listening to this when it comes out, is a potent reflection point in the wheel of the year, where the sun in the fixed earth sign of Taurus is opposite the moon in the fixed water sign of Scorpio. And this full moon, the moon is in gate 43, which is the gate of insight or breakthrough, and it's opposite from the sun in gate 23, which is known as assimilation. And so insight connecting with assimilation really makes it an ideal time to vocalize and share your insights with the world. And with that being said, the people who are ready to hear those insights will hear them deeply, although some may feel that your insights are far-fetched or ahead of their time. The 43-23 axis, which is the axis of this full moon, is also a channel in the body graph, and it is known as the genius to freak channel. So it's kind of like your insights that come through may come across as genius or that you're a freak. And that's always an interesting one to think about. This moon highlights my daughter's sun gate by the degree. So this is her full moon. She just saw this scorpion, and we're up on this hillside above Samara, Costa Rica, on the Nicoya Peninsula, and watched this incredible moonrise last night. She's like, I see a scorpion in it, Mama. And I kind of did too. So she's really excited and tapped into that energy. She's really shining bright as she meets friends and kind of starts to practice her Spanish because of desire to communicate with some other little kids. And she's identifying a lot of the birds that are in the trees. And she's been in the ocean, learning the right moment to dive under the waves as they crash, and which ones to surf in on her belly and which ones to dive under. And this trip overall has just been such a confidence builder for her, that she's in the gate of, her sun is in the gate of the rebel. Gate 43 is known as the gate of the rebel or gate of insight. And so she's definitely a little rebel, but she has really built a lot of confidence on this trip with embodiment, and it's been so fun to see. And ending it on the full moon in her exact sign and her exact gate feels like such a cool synchronicity. Overall, today, as full moon in Scorpio really invites us into deep emotional transformation and healing. Scorpio is a sign that's associated with intensity and regeneration and the shadow side of the self. As a fixed water sign, it's like a still, I like to think of it as a still lake, like an iced over lake, maybe, that's symbolic of that early kind of late fall season when things are starting to freeze a little bit. And so fixed water is, you think of fixed water, it's freezing, and it's this this capacity to be still and absorb what is going on around you and kind of look deep into the emotional depths. So that is definitely going to be, Scorpio full moons can feel kind of intense. And they can urge us to confront truths that are beneath the surface and release what no longer serves us. Full moons are always points of culmination. So this powerful lunation really encourages a deep dive into your emotional depths and empowers you to shed old patterns and fears and attachments. I think transformation is a very overused word, but regeneration is a word that I really like in association with Scorpio. So keep that one top of mind on your altar. The flower moon is traditionally a time of blooming and growth in the northern hemisphere, and so it calls for transformation and blossoming of our relationships and our finances and our sense of self-worth. It's definitely a good time to let go of old wounds and embrace vulnerability and forge a path of renewal. So, like Scorpio's deep totem of the scorpion that likes to kind of hide underground and in corners, and also the transformative totem of the phoenix. Scorpio has a triple totem, the phoenix, the eagle, and the scorpion. So this full moon offers us the chance to rise from the ashes in a stronger and more authentic and aligned way with our soul's true desires. So this week in the Wheel of the Year, aside from that full moon, we are in the medicine wheel direction south, in the indigenous medicine wheel, and south represents youth and summer and fire and kind of mental growth capacities. In the 5-element whooshing cycle of the Taoist tradition, we are in the element of fire that comes between wood and earth. And it's again highlighting those frequencies of kind of growing outward, blossoming in the same way as this flower full moon. The pagan season is Beltane. We're in that until we enter Litha, which is the midsummer in beginning of Cancer season. And so we're kind of in this mid-spring season now of Beltane. The zodiac season is Taurus until May 20th this year. And in the human design and I Ching Wheel of the Year, the sun is transiting through mountain over earth, the gate of assimilation from Saturday through Wednesday. That's gate 23, and it's also known as splitting apart. And we'll talk more about that today because that's the gate that is opposite this full moon. And then on Thursday, from Thursday until next Tuesday, we are transiting into the gate of contribution, which is known as holding together or union in the I Ching, and that's gate 8. So we're entering this week with a vibrant and alchemical window on the Wheel of the Year. The sun is in Taurus, as I said, and we're in this rooted place of fire and transformation and blossoming and movement, maturation, illumination, all of these things associated with fire on both of those inner wheels of the year. And if you're new here, you can always check out the kind of multidisciplinary polycultural wheel of the year that I've put together for the cycles of time. And that's at astrosomatics.substack.com, or you can look on Instagram at astro.somatics or Cycles of Time podcast, and you can see pinned to the top this multi-dimensional wheel of the year that includes the medicine wheel and the whooshing Taoist 5-element cycle and the pagan wheel of the year, as well as the zodiac and the I Ching or human design wheel of the year. And it's always cool to see visually how those line up. So we are currently at this place of blooming across all of the wheels. It's pretty fantastic. And this week, that blooming, illuminating, maturing fire is definitely lit from within. The moon is always an inner world, emotional kind of revelation, or the full moon. And so as we arrive at a powerful moment of revelation and regeneration and internal revolution with this full moon in Scorpio, this moon is really illuminating this deep axis of transformation and asking us to confront what has been hidden or repressed or waiting for permission to emerge. So the moon lands in Human Design Gate 43, which is known as the Gate of Insight or the Gate of the Rebel, and the sun is opposing it in Gate 23, the Gate of Assimilation. And together, there's some parrots coming by, squawking at me. Cool. Anyway, so together the axis of 4323 really speaks to the tension and synthesis between knowing something instinctively, which is gate 43's insight, and then finding the language to express that knowing, and that's gate 23. So the polar axes across the wheel are really like pulling a drum or truing a bicycle wheel. Like I've said before, there's an inherent tension in an opposition between the sun and the moon, but there's also a potential for deep mirroring and reflective growth from that type of energy. So with the sun and the moon in gate axis of 4323, both gates belong to the individual circuitry in the human design body graph, which really means that they carry a unique and mutative and a frequency that can often be kind of misunderstood. It's very individual. And the purpose with an individual circuit gate is not to fit in, but to change the narrative. And this is often through inner breakthroughs that later on ripple into collective culture. So it can be a very personal insight that is happening during this full moon, and one that you might want to communicate, but it might not be understood. It's kind of the over-under here. So Monday's moon-sun opposition in 4323 is highlighting a really interesting polarity, because the 4323 polarity across the wheel is one of only 3 polarities in the wheel of human design that also creates a channel in the body graph. And a channel is 2 gates that come together to connect 2 different energy centers in the body graph. And so when those 2 gates connect together, each of those energy centers is defined or highlighted or kind of activated in your chart. And so when we have the 4323, the sun and earth in those gates, but the sun and moon, it is known as the channel of structuring in the body graph. So those who have this channel in their design are natural builders and organizers, and creating structure through these, vocalizing these insights that they have. This channel connects the ajna center to the throat center. And so it really makes it easy to truly speak insights directly from the intuitive third eye, that third eye connecting into the throat. So it's pretty cool. It's like a very cool gate combination, because it also activates this energy within the body graph, which is quite rare. There's only, again, 3 of these polarities that are also channels in human design. And by having the polarity also activate a channel, this means that twice a year, the sun or the earth are transiting through these gates. And so statistically, more people have these energies in their charts than other energies. So there's a good number of people with the 2343 out there, this channel of structuring. And I like this description of 2343, this gate, this channel, from Evolutionary Human Design. It says, picture a mountain that you can see from your window. Every day you look out at this mountain and it's the same as it ever was. It's been there forever. It's substantial. It's set in time and space. You can rely on it. Then one day there's a sudden avalanche. You hear a great big rumble and see clouds of dust and rocks tumbling down from the mountaintop. And after it's settled, you look out your window again and see that the shape of the old familiar mountain has changed. That is the nature of this 23rd gateway. It literally splits apart old concepts, old ideas and appreciations, old traditions, and renders something completely new and different. So there can be a great degree of shock in this gateway, but ultimately it's a gateway of bringing about stability, a gateway of peeling about the non-essential to reveal what is substantial. The 23 makes up the channel with the 43rd gateway called structuring. And this channel is all about expressing individuality, expressing the novel, expressing something different. It relies on speech and being able to say something clearly in an easily comprehensible way. So again, that's from Evolutionary Human Design. And yeah, I just thought that image of looking out at a mountain and then having it kind of crumble and then really settle into something new felt very, very much like a good visual for this Scorpio full moon. And so the moon is in 43, the gate of insight, also known as breakthrough. And in the I Ching, It is really reflecting an energetic surge that allows deeply personal and sometimes radical ideas to rise to the surface. So breakthrough like that earthquake, right? In human design, gate 43 is in the ajna center, and that third eye center really gives form to spontaneous knowing. It's those sudden insights that come through, the kind of thinking that just is without a lot of explanation, without a lot of reasoning. And the challenge of this gate is to avoid external pressure to explain yourself prematurely. Sometimes insights just come and you don't know where they've come from and you can't really explain it. And knowing my daughter, that is very much a real thing with her. And so sometimes I'm like, why? And it's just like, it just is. I just know. I just know. So gate 43 has to be given time and silence to let their insight mature into clarity. And in the Gene Keys, Richard Rudd names the journey of Gate 43 as moving from the shadow of deafness to the gift of insight to the city of epiphany. And deafness is not literal here, of course, but metaphorical. It's a refusal or an inability to listen to anything that's offering truth in the moment, because you're focused on your current process. And also it can be an inability to listen to the deep inner voice that offers truth at the shadow level, because you are so busy with so many thoughts and not slowing down to allow the epiphanies and the insights to come through. This week's full moon may pressurize us to stop ignoring what we already know. And again, going back to the gate of the receptive last week, it's really a great time this Taurus season to create silence and space and resist the urge to rationalize everything and just tap into that more embodied wisdom. Again, Taurus is all about the body and also the throat, rules the throat. So it's about speaking, putting words to what we feel in our body in an unspoken way. Up until this point, we now have this ability to blossom and to use our throat to talk, to speak it out, and to say what is already there. And in doing that, we can become conduits for truly original insight. So this is Scorpio's domain. Scorpio-Taurus axis domain is really kind of this deep inner wisdom that surfaces through stillness. And the fixed signs of Taurus and Scorpio both relate to that stillness. Taurus, I've been driving past a lot of cattle fields in my road trip around Costa Rica and just being like, that's such a Taurus image, seeing these amazing cattle that are they have like very saggy, floppy skin here, different kind of cow than I'm used to, and bull, and it's very cool to see them just like lounging a lot in the fields this time of year. And so yeah, that's the kind of fixed energy of Taurus, is that sensual fixed energy of sitting and enjoying and absorbing and receiving the blossoming of the world. And then Scorpio on the other side of the wheel is really being still, because the seasons are changing in a different way, and tapping into what's going on beneath the surface a little bit more, as opposed to the blossoming above the surface. It's more like blossoming of root systems beneath the surface during Scorpio season. So this week's full moon draws attention to these internal aha moments that still may feel tender or half-formed. And with the moon in Scorpio, the insights arising are not of a rational or intellectual nature per se, but more emotional and ancestral and embodied. And these insights can definitely often come after periods of stillness or solitude or shadow work. So pay attention to what's coming up for you over this moon and over this week, as we are in this 43-23 energy of deep rebellious insight, of the truth coming out after a long time of maybe being hidden beneath the surface. The moon's light reflects the sun in Taurus, the gate of assimilation, gate 23, and that's from Saturday through Wednesday, last Saturday through this Wednesday, the 14th. And gate 23 is associated with hexagram 23 in the I Ching, which is known as splitting apart or mountain over earth. And this is the gate of stripping down to the essential, It's translating insights into speech. I'm kind of repeating myself here because I wrote this when I was half asleep. I wrote out my notes, but we can wait for the right conditions to translate that insight into speech and start to look at things in a new way with that kind of mountain crumbling into a new shape kind of energy. And 23's shadow is complexity, the gift is simplicity, and the city is quintessence. So this energy of 23 kind of has to find a way to express itself clearly without diluting its essence, without complicating or overcomplicating things, without feeling pressure to over-rationalize things. And so it's really a vocalized gate of having mastery and saying what is true to you. So this sun-moon opposition for this full moon in Scorpio really asks us, can you hold your insight with integrity, even if others don't yet understand it? And can you let truth guide your voice or your silence with discernment? There's some interesting aspects to this full moon in Scorpio as well. Some other planetary aspects that I wanted to hit on. This full moon is conjunct Juno, which is an asteroid that represents marriage, commitment, and sacred bonds. And the full moon is also trine Saturn and the North Node, which are together in Pisces. So these water trines are creating a spiritual and emotional undercurrent to this insightful full moon. And so the truths that rise up under this moon aren't just intellectual. This is another reason why they're very connected to your path and also your partnerships, your sacred bonds with others, and your deeper calling with the North Node, kind of what you're hungry for. So there's a beautiful, trines are this harmonious, very flowing energy, a powerful flowing energy that aligns the moon with the North Node and Saturn. So it's kind of putting structure to your destiny as it relates to these new insights that are coming up. So it could be kind of a game changer. A lot of things that rise to the surface during this full moon might change the course of things in a beautiful way. Juno being conjunct the moon in Scorpio is adding a relational dimension, which is really all about core patterns that we hold in intimacy. And this is especially around power, control, and truth. So that plus the trine to Saturn and the North Node really kind of gives this moment a karmic tone. And yeah, insights coming through right now. I'm feeling it. I really am. Like something feels very shifted and different in my world. Like what's rising to the top, the synchronicities and the relationships that are forming in my life right now really feel kind of like something that's like been there for a long time, but I'm kind of starting to be able to put words to it. Like this is what I've been trying to name for years, but haven't been quite able to name because I've been overcomplicating it. And so clarity is on offer during this full moon. And so pay attention to the truths that are coming through in relationships, especially with those that are super deep and important to you. The ruler of this moon is Mars, and the ruler of the sun right now in Taurus is Venus. And so Mars is currently in Leo, and it's forming a trine to Venus in Aries. And it's nice to look at the planetary rulers of Illumination and kind of see where they're hanging out. And I don't always do this or go as deep, but I'm just feeling like this full moon feels like quite a pivotal point personally, so I'm just going to keep going. But Mars in Leo trine Venus in Aries, the sun and moon's rulers trine to each other is very cool, and it's beautiful energy for creative ignition and bold expression and confident movement, jumping into those waves without second guessing yourself. So when the moon and the sun are working through this paradox of internal truth versus external voice and how we're being received when we speak our inner truth, Mars and Venus are in this harmonious trine, reminding us that sometimes we move first and then the clarity comes after. So it's akin to that, not overcomplicating things, and allowing for the quintessential nature of what feels right to come through. And so this trine here is really highlighting that. And it also, with Venus in the mix, this trine supports relational bravery, saying what's true and initiating what's needed and making space for passion and play and new momentum in love and art and what we desire. So Venus and Mars are both in fire signs. When there's a trine, they're always in the same element. And so Venus and Mars are in fire signs, Leo and Aries. And so the emphasis is on directness and embodiment and that blossoming, like that you can't overthink a blossom. You can't make it blossom. It's just going to blossom. So let your body lead and let your heart express this full moon. There's a lot of really cool things going on. And it is opposite Uranus in Taurus. So the sun and Uranus are together in Taurus. So there might be a little bit of wild card energy as well. Uranus is the erratic lightning bolt of the zodiac. And so having that across from the Scorpio full moon could mean that some insights will come quite suddenly, like lightning, without a lot of deliberation or planning surrounding that. So pretty powerful full moon we have today. Definitely take some time to contemplate and just to sit with it and to gaze at the full moon this evening if you can. And then this week, later on Thursday, we have the sun transiting to gate 8 out of gate 23. And gate 8 is known as the gate of contribution. So it's all about authentic influence and how we contribute to the larger whole. It's aligned and associated with hexagram 8, which is known as holding together in the I Ching, or water over earth. And it is located in the throat center as well. And gate 8 is expressive. We've come from the insights of 23, connecting with the 43s, the 43 insights connecting with the 23s, assimilation and throat energy. And so we are now moving after that into a gate of contribution where we really speak to inspire others through our authenticity. So in the Gene Keys, gate 8 evolves from the shadow of mediocrity to the gift of style and ultimately to the city of exquisiteness. And it's not about performance. It's definitely just about shining and inspiring in a way that uplifts the whole. The challenge here with gate 8 is to trust that your natural frequency is enough and to lead by example rather than through dominance. So at the shadow frequency, gate 8 expresses as a loss of individuality. Mediocrity is this loss of individuality. And this happens when we conform to social expectations and suppress our creative essence and live in fear of rejection. It's this inner voice that says, who am I to be different, or why bother standing out? And so it's kind of this muted life where we follow trends instead of truth, and we don't listen to the insights that are coming through and being assimilated, but instead we just kind of get stuck in like, oh, well, I have something to say, but I don't know. Should I really say it? And this shadow often forms early with people as we internalize pressures to fit in or be useful or avoid drawing too much attention to ourselves. But over time, it breeds a kind of quiet disempowerment where the fire of individuality dims. And that's definitely not what we want to be doing during this season of blossoming and the season of fire. We want to light our fire. So at the gift level, it's this gift of style where something essential unlocks. And Richard Rudd describes style not as fashion or aesthetics or how we look, but really as the signature frequency of the soul expressed through form. And it's the authenticity that shines when we stop performing and start embodying our true nature. So people living from the gift of gate 8 are magnetic because they're unapologetically themselves, and they might not be loud, but their presence speaks volumes. And it is really Gate 8 is kind of not about hierarchy or charisma in the traditional sense, but more about frequency, where we are living our truth, so we're also allowing others to live from their truth. And in this way, style is contagious, where it doesn't seek approval, and yet it naturally contributes to the collective, and it uplifts through its personal integrity. And then at the city level of Gate 8, exquisiteness is this just purest, most refined style, which is this kind of essence of soul expression coming through us. And again, it has this word flowering in it quite a lot, this flowering of individuality that's so precise and rare that it just becomes like art in motion. It's this, when something's so exquisite, like a work of art or a dance or any kind of creative expression is exquisite, it's just this realization that we are the act of what we're doing, our creative work and ourselves are just a flawless fractal of the universe where we don't have to edit or improve them. It's this deep self-acceptance where we're reminded that our greatest contribution isn't what we do, but really more so who we are when we show up authentically. And especially during times of collective transformation that we're certainly in right now, and within this greater cycle, this season of fire and blossoming, we just have to recognize that the world doesn't need more imitation, and it doesn't need us to hold back our light or wonder what's the point. It really needs this radiance of realness. The world needs it right now. So as the sun's transiting through Gate 8 from Thursday through next Tuesday, we're all invited to examine where we're holding back our voice or presence and where we're trying to blend in when we're meant to stand out, and also just really what wants to be expressed through us in this season. It's not about striving for greatness, but just speaking from your frequency of where you are and the things that you have to share from your heart. So that in itself is exquisite. And so that is the week. This is a week of breakthroughs that might not be easy. They might not come across perfectly honed, but they're definitely real. So trust the strange insights that come through, anything weird or out of the ordinary. Don't resist it. Just trust what's coming through is meant to rise to the surface right now, and welcome anything that rises up from your gut, from your belly, from your bones, and let your clarity come in its own time. Don't rush the clarity, but don't be afraid to speak it out. Sometimes speaking it can make the clarity come in a way that you don't expect by having it being received by someone else or writing it down. So this full moon in Gate 43 is bringing us knowing, and the sun in Gate 23 is helping us share it and assimilate it. And then the rest of the week's kind of integration process of the full moon, that full moon hangover that always happens, is nicely received in Gate 8, where it asks us to just keep on keeping on with that, with whatever has come through in the full moon, and don't doubt it. Just show up in full color and embrace what has come through. So thank you so much for being here and tracking the cycles of time and the wheels of the year together with me. As always, I'm definitely looking forward to getting back to my own bed and my own desk and getting back in a rhythm and routine of breath and movement and astrological meetups over the summer. So thank you for your patience as I've been in and out of service and internet and just generally on a different timeline for the past month or so. I really appreciate you being here, and I look forward to talking to you again next week. Have a beautiful, beautiful full moon and week ahead. Bye.